What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Blind Space. I'm your host, Ramon Garcia, and today's episode is about being intentional. Last episode was about starting over, so it just made sense to me that we continued on the same theme and just move on to what is, in my opinion, the next step, and that's being intentional. I wish somebody would have talked about how important that is when I was a child / going into being an adult, because I constantly heard the word discipline, hardworking, determined, goals. Like, I heard all these words, but ultimately, I think the one that trumps all of them is being intentional. It ultimately applies to everything in your life. It applies to finances, friendships, relationships, self-care, personal development, like anything, really. I was a firm believer that everyone deserved chances and that you kind of just had to go with the flow and just be open and receive what is being thrown at you. And while that is still true, I've learned that it is very important to be intentional. Don't just go work. Obviously, there's a time and a place. Sometimes you do just got to go get that job and deal with it and work, right? But you have to be intentional. If you're in a job that you don't like, you should not be in that situation for a very long time. If you're getting paid really good and it's part of a plan for you, then, do what you do. But you see how that's intentional? There's a plan. It's a part of this plan that you've created versus just being in a job that you don't like and putting up with it. That is insane to me. It's also kind of crazy that the word intentionality wasn't something that was stressed to me as much until I started managing a restaurant. That word, especially these last 2 years, has been something that my bosses have repeated over and over and over and over, that I have to be more intentional on just different things. And they never meant it necessarily as a putting me down. It was constantly a putting me up and teaching me something new. And I want to literally do that in return and give it to you guys. I was a firm believer that when you're dating, you should just have an open heart, and you never know who's going to come into your heart and change the way that you love. And I still believe that to an extent, but I've also learned that you should be intentional when it comes to dating somebody. I know that I ultimately am a very busy person. I know that I have a lot of love to give, but I know that the person that I'm with cannot be a person I realistically can't see myself being with a stay-at-home partner, because I don't know, I would assume that would probably require a lot of my attention, and I feel in this next relationship I would need to be with someone that is equally motivated in their own personal goals that have nothing to do with me, so that we're both busy. And when we do make time to see each other, it's great, but I want to be busy. I want to make sure I'm constantly working on my goals. I don't want to sacrifice my own personal achievements for a relationship. And that's not saying it's right, it's wrong. That's me being intentional in my own life. Everyone has a different journey, a different path. To some people, a relationship is ultimately what they want, and they will structure a world and a career around being able to be a stay-at-home partner or whatever the case may be. But that's still intentional. You're still intentionally deciding to do these things. And it applies. We don't have to have the same goals, the same mindset, the same perspective for us to be intentional, but the word rings true. You don't have to be the most hardworking individual that wants to just do the most. You don't have to be someone that wants to garner as many riches as you can. But I do believe that everyone on this planet should be intentional. When you wake up in the morning and that first hour, how are you spending it? And people will use the excuse that we're too busy, we have too much going on, as well, I can't do all that, I have too much going on. And I'm okay, but I promise if you sat down and really were intentional with yourself and looked at your week, if you really looked at your past week, you can easily find all kinds of time throughout your life where maybe you shouldn't have invested whatever you decided to invest time-wise into that activity or into that thought or into whatever. I have grown to be very intentional with my scheduling. I literally have and I'm going to make a whole series on how I bullet journal and how I come to organize my life, but I have a chore list. So literally Sunday through Saturday, my chore list, what I have to do, because I don't like going about my day and being like, ugh, the glass is dirty, I need to clean it. I know that at least once every 2 weeks, I should clean the glass, because that's about how long it takes for my glasses to build up with grime and filth. Granted, I live alone and like all of my things are my own things, so I just maintain a clean environment. But with that being said, like, I no longer just wake up and I'm like, okay, well, what do I have to clean? I do laundries on Sunday. I clean my bathroom on this day. Like, everything has been laid out in a way that I know, okay, like, tomorrow's this day, so I have to do these things. And it makes it a lot less stressful, because it's really hard for my house to get super messy, because as long as I follow the schedule and do the 2-3 things that is required of me daily, then it's fine. I'll stay clean, because I won't ever have to invest a good chunk of time to doing those things. Same thing when it comes to training. Y'all, I literally, whenever I schedule my week, I schedule them on Sundays, which is today. I'm filming on a Sunday. So literally after this, I'll sit down. I have a template. Let me show you guys really quick. I have like a template where it is exactly that, on how to schedule my week, because like I said, you have to be intentional. You have to make sure you like do things in a way that makes sense. Let me flip to it. Okay. So if you see right here, and you can pause and like screenshot if you want, I literally go as far as to break down my schedule outline. So this is basically what I have to do on those days. Over here is a breakdown of my hours. So I know in a week, there's only a certain amount of hours. So I gave myself 42 hours a week to sleep. I have 40 hours a week to work. I gave myself 12 hours to commute, and so on and so forth. Because it's really easy to lose 15 hours in a week to just driving, because you're not really like connecting the dots. Especially if you live in an area where there's a lot of traffic or you have to commute really far, you can easily be like, oh yeah, I'll go visit my friend, or I'll go do this, or I'll go do that. And then you've spent 15 hours in a car just driving. That's insane to me. And then you're just sitting there. To me, I've learned to be intentional with even that time. When I'm sitting in a car, I want to make sure I'm either listening to a podcast, I'm working on music. I'm not a musician, so when I say working on music, it's not anything necessarily crazy, but I have been musically inclined my entire life, and I don't want to just lose it, because that's not necessarily a passion of mine, but it is something that I'm like, whatever. So I'll take like a voice class, I'll do some musical theater, I'll listen to new music that I haven't heard, I'll listen to a podcast. Like, I will just do things where I obviously have to pay attention to the road, but I can listen, I can be active in that way. I can at least be intentional with my time in that way. I've learned also being intentional with yourself and really just getting to know yourself. One of my biggest advices to people have always been to just be honest with yourself. I know that I can be a very, not lazy person, but I can get sidetracked really easily, and my energy can just barrel down so quickly. So I've learned that when I schedule my day in certain ways, maybe I should just go straight to the gym instead of stopping home. Even though I literally live right next to the gym that I go to, it doesn't matter. Go straight to the gym, or get home, don't even make it home, just walk straight to the gym. Because sometimes I don't like driving back and forth. But it's just making sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure. I know that once I'm home, I'll see my dog, I will go to him and be like, oh my God, Daddy. And then I know that once I'm there, I'll be like, oh, you know, a little nap would be nice. And then nothing's gonna stop me from convincing myself to getting into the bed. And then I'll be like, well, 5 minutes. And then 5 minutes turns into 10, turns into 20, turns into 2 hours. And then now I've lost 2 hours of my day. I still have to wake up early tomorrow, so I can't stay up too late to get things done. And then I just fuck myself over, because now I'm tired, now I'm in a bad mood, now I've lost time, and for what? Because I wasn't intentional with myself? That's just crazy. And relationships and friendships. I feel like I've just rambled a lot throughout this episode, and I'm sorry, but it applies to everything. Your friends. I have learned that I make awful decisions when it comes to my friendships. I would not be intentional. I would just, if you were nice, if you were a good time, if you were funny, if you were, really, I just didn't care. I'm just a kind person. I'd be friends with anyone. If I'm vibing with you, then great, I'm vibing with you. And I'm like, I will try my best to not judge someone and to not like base my actions off of things that people have done, because you know, we all make mistakes. We all can do things that aren't painted in the best light. But I've learned that that's not my responsibility. I will be intentional with myself and my friends. Thank you. Like, if you are being weird and you are being rude and you do show me a quality that I'm not necessarily into, yeah, I'm gonna be intentional and remove that from my life, or at least like hold back from investing more time into it. Because for many, 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 many times now, I've been in a friendship where I'm like, okay, yeah, they're kind of like rude, or they're kind of not really being a good friend, or they're kind of like, the list just goes on and on and on. And then I will be like, well, Ramon, you ultimately like need to be a good person. Like, don't base your actions off of someone else's actions. And now I fully will. I don't want to open myself up to be the friend that you can depend on. And I know that sounds bad, but it's me being intentional with myself. I have given far too much time to my friends, to really ungrateful friends too, where like someone needs something from me, someone needs me to be there for them, and then I'm off to go be there for them, and then they go on and do their whole life, and no one's checking in on me. No one's like, you know, when I need someone, no one's there to be there. So I've just learned that it's fine. Like, I ultimately don't need anyone to come and solve my problems. Like, they're ultimately my life. It's my problems. It's my journey to, you know, figure it out. Doesn't mean I've like closed myself off to my family and people that I know care about me. But as far as like meeting someone new and like wanting to depend on them, I'm just like, I'm over. That's not in my intention. Like, I intend to build friends on just like here. Like, I get you, I understand you. Like, yeah, it doesn't mean every now and then I don't want to talk and I don't want to be there for somebody, but like, can you come help me move? No, I can't. I can't help you move. Every single friend that I've ever helped move apartments, I don't talk to anymore. So no, I can't help you move. And no one has ever helped me move. Like, I've never even asked people to help me move, because I personally don't like being annoying. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go about myself in my own way and just figure it out. Literally, when I moved from California to LA, I did it all by myself. I put some stuff into a storage, and I literally had to drive from Dallas, Texas, all the way to Los Angeles by myself, unload everything, stick it in my car, like figure it all out by myself, and then come back by myself. And that's not to say that if I can do it, you can do it. That's just to say, if I don't need anyone's help, I don't need to be there for anyone for them to hold that guilt in return. Because it's like, okay, like, so I'm here for you, and then what do I get? Like, you're not gonna be, because I don't need like money or something, but it's like, I'm not gonna have a loyal friend that's like gonna, you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna go off and do whatever they want to do. I'm already fortunate enough to have, girl, we're going on to a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother episode about friendships and whatever. Back to being intentional. What are you eating? How are you having breakfast? What do you do to self-care? How are you relaxing? What are you drinking? Are you stretching? Are you prone to any illnesses? What's your relationship with your family? Are you doing anything to better your relationship with your family? Do you have any goals? Do you have any dreams? Are you doing anything to go towards those goals? Do you just wake up every day and go? Like, that's not intentional. I'm not saying that I'm like the person to like carbon copy. Like, yeah, copy him. He's great. But I do make an effort every day to be intentional towards what I really want in this life and towards achieving my goals. And I feel like I really do. Every single day I do make some sort of an intention towards getting closer to where I want to be. Doesn't mean I'm doing everything that I want to be. I'm definitely still working on that. But yeah, being intentional, you guys. I feel like we've pretty much come to the end of this episode. I don't want to keep rambling on in circles. This applies, I mean, put a topic, put the word in front of it. Same thing applies. All the examples apply. It all applies. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. Writing a book, you want to be intentional. going to college, picking a tutor, learning a language, having a boyfriend, getting pregnant, voting, literally anything that you do in this life, you have to be intentional, because then you're just leaving possibility out of your hands. And in a lot of situations, you don't really have much control in the first place, but to release yourself of any possible influence you could have had to navigate yourself towards a good path is crazy. If you want to be a multi-billionaire, you got to be intentional. If you want to be a house mom with 3 kids, you have to be intentional. You can't just buy groceries willy-nilly. Like, unless you got it like that, you have to budget, you have to track all of the children's schedules. Do they have extracurricular? Do they have sports? Do they have whatever? Like, you got to be intentional. Are you a boss? Are you a team member? Whatever position you are, you got to be intentional. Unless you just don't care. But to me, that's just like, that's never been an option. I don't really have much else to talk about, you guys. If you guys ever have any themes or any topics, and just anything that you want me to talk about, please leave a comment. I make videos on every single platform: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you name it, I'm on it. The Ramon Garcia. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate it.